You are the light. We are the light. Well, once upon a time, there was a monk who was walking down a country road early in the morning. And he was going to meet some good friends. And he had to walk quite a ways. He had on his brown robe, and his brown sandals were flopping in the sand and raising dust on the trail. And about noontime, he began to get hungry and kind of irritable. You ever felt that way? And he forgot to make his lunch. So he began to get edgy, and he stumbled on a rock and tripped. And he argued, what was that rock doing in the middle of the road? Somebody put that rock in my path. That's why we always look back at the sidewalk after we trip over it, right? And the rock began to grow in size. And that's it, he said. Someone put that rock there just to trip me up. Of course, by now, the rock even grew bigger. And he said, somebody doesn't like me so much that they would put that there so I would hurt myself. And then the rock got so large that it blocked the entire road in his mind. And his mind raced to all the names of the people that he thought certainly didn't like him. And by this time, the rock had become so big, it became an insurmountable mountain. And the monk went to the side of the road under a tree and put his head in his hands, and he began to cry, staring at the gigantic mountain in front of him. Along on the road came a lady, and seeing the distracted monk, she went over and asked him if he was okay. And he said, it's as if life is out to get me. Nothing goes right. Everybody's against me. And somebody hates me so much that they put this huge mountain right in my way. Well, the lady spent some time with the monk. She nodded and she listened to him. And then she walked out to the center of the road. And she picked up the pebble and she threw it aside. To say the least, the monk was surprised. And as he left this place of this accident, he couldn't believe how fortunate it was that this woman came along and threw this pebble away. And he noticed that the mountain was in his mind and was just a pebble after all. Our perceived self-limitations can be the mountains in our minds. Once we realize that these self-perceived self-limitations are actually opportunities for mental, physical, spiritual growth, we can then begin to experience a full expression of life. Have you ever thought or said, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too fat, I'm too short, I don't have any money, I don't have the time, I'd like to help you, but I don't have the time, I don't have the motivation, I don't have enough skills or talents, I would fail for sure if I tried. I make too many mistakes to try something new. Taking risks always turns out bad for me. I don't have what it takes to succeed. My mind just can't do that. My mind can't do what it used to do. Ever said any of these things? Richard Bach wrote, argue for your limitations and they are yours. So whatever we say that we can't do, certainly we cannot do it because we don't even try. And we don't even try because we're already defeated in our mind. You know, this quote explains that most of our limitations, both physical, mental, spiritual, are self-imposed. We make them up. You know, we human beings are good at justifying, explaining, and defending our perceived limitations. Our mental barriers stop us from growing outside the mental chains that we have bound ourselves to. So, as we keep feeding negative thoughts about our perceived limitations, our subconscious minds pick up these ideas and they begin to believe them, and our mind becomes hardwired, and we can't break out of the shackles. And they become even more challenging because, indeed, we create pathways in our brain that believe that these things are true. So I'm wondering, well, let's do this quote from Rudyard Kipling. He's an English journalist and poet, and he wrote, "Of all the liars in the world, sometimes the worst are our own fears." You know, we avoid moving out of our comfort zone, and our fear of change keeps us thinking that we're being safe by staying in this comfort zone. I can only do this, right? This is who I am. This is why I'm here. I am sticking to what I know, and I'm going to stay comfortable, doggone it. However, staying safe offers us a life of mediocrity. So I wonder, what self-imposed limitations do you have? This is a difficult question for us to answer honestly, because our whole setup, our being, our consciousness is set up around defending the things that we think we can't do, because we want to stay in this comfort zone. And these self-imposed limitations that we have are so much a part of us that it even feels risky to question any characteristic that keeps us safe. So it's often difficult to even discover what it is that are our self-limitations, because our mind tends to block us from even being aware of them. But we can try and ask this question. What if you asked yourself, if I could wave a magic wand, what is it that I would change about myself? What limiting thinking would I change? Because you know the answer to this question. You know what your self-limitations are. We all do. So, ask yourself that question. What would you be if you could wave a magic wand? What characteristic, what self-perpetuating thought do you have, self-limiting thought that you have about yourself? And then you can ask, is it really true? Is this belief that I have about myself that limits me really true? Or is it just an obstacle on my road, a rock, a pebble, a mountain that I have created to try and keep myself safe? I am moving forward to new paths, to greater possibilities. Behind the limitations that we argue for are opportunities for our transformation. The things that we argue for, our limitations, are opportunities for our spiritual, physical, and mental transformation. And as we become aware of our self-imposed limitations, we will discover that our self-imposed limitations are hiding the opportunities that are right in front of us to stretch and to grow. Our self-imposed limitations are really mirrors that are showing to us that there's something else going on here. So I'm inviting you really to begin to look at when you find yourself saying, I really can't do that. I'm really too busy. My old mind just can't do what it used to do. Bullshit. Sorry, I did say that in church. Our self-imposed limitations are showing us specific areas where we can have the potential to move from a fixed mindset into a growth mindset. Our self-imposed limitations really are gifts. It's like somebody's offering us this amazing gift to discover what's hiding in our own minds. I have to admit, I have believed a lot of my life that if I disagree with people, they'll disappear. And it's been a self-limiting argument that I have said to myself. I usually try to make everybody happy. I don't like conflict. And as a result, I sometimes don't speak out when I want something because I'm afraid that somebody's going to leave me or get angry with me or there's going to be conflict. In my first church in St. Louis, when I first got there, one of the long-standing congregants came to me and he said, "Blaine, I really want you only to bring musicians into this church who play old-time unity music." Right? And we have a book filled with songs like this that have been used for 80, 90 years. And he said, "I want you to only use those songs." And I was like, wow, I don't know. And I felt this fear come up in me about talking to this man who's been in this church forever and wants it to be like it was when he came here. And I knew, and I've always sort of been connected to what the most modern music is. This song we just heard by Denise Rozier is a brand new song. She wrote it just really recently. And I think there's power in presenting what's out there right now and what's new and what is transforming. So I told this man, "I'm sorry, I can't do that. I'm going to bring music in here that rocks this place, moves people's consciousness, helps them to find out who they are." And as a result, the congregation grew, the consciousness of the congregation grew, and believe it or not, that man never left and told me that he loved the music that I brought. So I had to stand on the path and remove the self-perceived mountain that I believed that I stood in front of. And you know what's interesting? What I've discovered is the actual most difficult thing about this process is removing the mountain, getting over the mountain. Once I realized that I could move past this mountain, that it was only a stone, actually doing what I wanted to do was very easy. Once we totally believe in what we're doing, that mountain is just a pebble. The perceived mountain is in our minds. I am moving forward on new paths to greater possibilities. Let's say that together. I am moving forward on new paths to greater possibilities. So what can we do when things are challenging? There are several answers to this, but I believe that the first one is to have a mindset change. To be open to new possibilities, to be open to the possibility that there's something there that we're not seeing, that's right in front of us. Something that hasn't occurred to us yet. So instead of arguing for our limitations, let's argue for our possibilities. We don't want to argue with what's impossible. Argue with what is possible, but we just haven't figured it out yet. We can say things like, I wonder what I can do differently. I wonder what I can see differently. How can I be different? How can I argue for the possibility? Amit Ray, who's an Indian author and spiritual teacher, wrote, "Expand your awareness and come out of all self-imposed limitations." He says it requires continuous learning and growth mindset. When we have a fixed mindset, we're stuck in outdated beliefs about ourselves, and we impede our neurological, our physical, and our spiritual growth. We must get over our fixed mindsets. I know for me that I want to be the most powerful expression of God that I can be. Don't you? Don't you want to be the most powerful being that you can possibly be and tap into all of the resources that you have, including the essence and the presence of spirit that is open to you? You have that power. And so often it's about getting rid of that apparent mountain in the pathway and embracing the truth that who you are, the truth that who I am. So we have to get out of our fixed mindsets. There's something, before I go here, let's go here. Scientists now realize that our brains are changing at a breathtaking pace. Much of what scientists thought they knew about our brains years ago, they're discovering isn't true. It used to be believed that when we were a child, we had our brains were fully developed, and that was it. But now they're discovering that our brains have the capacity to continue to grow and to change and to become more efficient at what they do. So, in fact, our brains change in three ways. They change chemically, they change structurally, and they change functionally. Our brains change chemically. They transfer chemicals between cells. And this transfer of chemicals actually allows us to improve our short-term memory. Also, our brains can change structurally. Our brains can change the connections between the neurons. And this actually helps us to create and develop a better long-term memory. And thirdly, our brains can change functionally. Because our brains can create new neural pathways that brings life to different parts of our brain. It's really like the brain literally creates new freeways to deliver information quicker and faster and more accurately. And these changes, this action is happening across our entire brain. And all of these things support our learning. So, this is the big point that I want to make today. When we argue for our limitations and refuse to attempt things that are challenging, we are shutting down our brain's potential for neuroplasticity. When we say this is too hard or I can't do this, we're actually stopping the growth of our brain and keeping us in a locked pattern. We're choosing to force our brains to maintain a fixed mindset and not share, and therefore not to expand. I think all of us want a healthy brain, don't we? So the best driver of neuroplastic change in our brains is our behavior. It comes down to us. We bear the responsibility for the growth of our brains. I am moving forward on new paths to greater possibilities. So instead of arguing for our limitations, let's argue for our possibilities. Let's practice activities that prepare our brains to grow, to learn. And these activities include brain stimulation, exercise, and participating in a variety of activities. I've been playing the ukulele probably for about 6 months, and I have believed most of my life that I can't sing, and certainly that I could never play an instrument. And I've even found myself surrounded by people who often remind me that I can't do any of those things. Not you. You even gave me a guitar lesson when this desire started to happen for me. And, so I've been practicing for a couple months. I probably do it 2 or 3, 4 or 5 times a week. And sometimes I discover that a chord or a strumming pattern is really, really difficult, right? And sometimes I've even said, you know what, forget this. This is too hard. And I'll put the ukulele away for a couple of days, and then it starts calling to me, and I'll pick it up, and I'll practice. And I find that after practicing, I'll get it. I'll come back to it the next day. It'll be easy. And then I come back to it the next day, and it's really hard, right? But then I'll come back the next day, and I'll just go, wow, check this out. And you know what? And the neatest thing about it is after I have played, I feel so invigorated, right? It's like my brain is just going, and I believe it's all these pathways and these neurons that are going, wow, right? I've opened up new places in my brain, and there's an excitement, yeah? You ever felt that? It's an amazing thing. And a lot of it's because I thought I couldn't do this. And now I realize that I can, and how fun it is. And sometimes it's a piece of work, I must say. I sat down and played yesterday, and it was like, I felt like I had never played before. But what I understand is it takes time for these neural pathways to build up and for these chemicals in our brain to develop so that we can be effective at what we're doing. Sometimes playing the ukulele makes my day. So here's some activities that we all can do and that you can do to practice neuroplasticity. And the first one is to notice when you argue for your limitations. Notice when you say, I can't do this, or this is too hard, or I don't have the time, or I'm too tired, or, there's a million excuses. I wrote them down. I figured out like 50 of them. I was going to share them all with you, and I thought, no, that's all right. If you want me to email you the list, I'll email you the list. But and I find myself doing this all the time. Oh, I can't do that. Okay, well, that's an invitation to do it. And that's the second step, which is to decide to move past your perceived limitations and to make a decision that when you say, I can't do this, I don't have the skill, I don't have the talent, I don't have the time, I don't have the brains, then you can go, wow, I do. You certainly do. Change yourself. Go for it. Don't listen to your perceived limitations. And this is the most revealing thing for me is don't be discouraged when it's difficult. Research has shown that increased difficulty or struggle during practice actually leads to more learning and greater structural change in the brain. So overcoming those difficult times were actually encouraging the growth in our brains to move through those difficult times. Research has shown that increased difficulty or struggle during an activity actually leads to more learning and greater structural change in our brains. Wow. Do you want that? Are you willing to make that happen for yourselves? Will you argue for your limitations or for your possibilities? I hope that you leave today with a new appreciation of how magnificent your brain is. You and your brain are constantly being shaped by the decisions that you make. Everything that you think, everything that you believe, everything that you learn is changing your brain. So will you argue for your limitations, or will you argue for your possibilities? I am moving forward on new paths to greater possibilities. Let's say this together. I am moving forward on new paths to greater possibilities. And I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath, breathing in and breathing out. And relax into this moment. I am moving forward on new paths to greater possibilities. And as you breathe and just relax into this moment. To feel your connection with your body. New possibilities. What might that be for you? Additional opportunities to be more loving, to be more present. To be able to stand in your truth. To stand for what you believe. To know that your mind, your brain, your connection with spirit is opening and offering you the gift of life, the gift of power, a gift of peace. So take this moment and just feel the power that desires to move as you as new possibilities. You may or may not even know what they are. But just feel the feeling surging in your mind, in your body. And let's take just a moment to rest in the silence. And just even in this moment, new pathways for possibilities are being created in your mind. And I invite you to gently begin to bring your awareness back to this moment and to open your eyes whenever you're ready. This is titled, You Are the Light. You'll turn dust into gardens, pieces into peace, tears into fountains, chains into release. You are doubt into action, vision renewed, perfect creation unfolding in view. You hold all of heaven inside you, no matter what you go through. And if dreams burn down to ashes, you rise again. You are the light of God. The power of prayer lifted up. Every breath testifies. You are the light. You are the light. You hold all heaven inside you, no matter what you go through. And if dreams burn down to ashes, rise again. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You are the light. You are the light. And I invite you at this time to prepare your tithes and love offerings. And I want to thank you in advance for all that you bring and the fact that you're here today or watching us on Facebook or on YouTube. And I know that that we are one in spirit, one in consciousness, and that we are the light. And I know that Spirit is working with and in and through and as all of us to be emissaries of light, to be bringers of the dawn, to be bringers of truth to wherever we are, to bring this gift of Spirit as us into the world, to bring peace with our thoughts, to bring love with our words, to encourage others, to stand for their truth, to connect with that inner sense within them that is here on this beautiful planet to create a peaceful world. So as we hold our gifts together, let's affirm our offering affirmation, which begins. Through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Thank you, loving Spirit, for these gifts that have come to us in love. We hold them, we bless them, we give thanks for them, and know that they move through this ministry out into the world. And we behold a world filled with love, with light, with joy, and with peace. And so it is. Namaste. And I am so grateful to be back here again doing it live here in the building. You know, we did this for a year in our front room, which was quite an adventure in itself. Emily was our amazing photographer, set designer, and so many things. And only she knew what I had on beneath the Aloha shirt. Except for you, Kurt. You And I'm so grateful for you, Kurt, for all that you do and what you bring. You know, Kurt is the great harmonizer. I love how he plays beneath the entire service and kind of weaves it all together. What a great gift. Thank you, Bob, on sound, and all the board members are here, K Aloha, and everyone who helps us to create this. To our beautiful Daily Word presenter today, thank you, and Joy for reading the Daily Word. It takes a community to be a community. You can quote me on that. You know, that's a quotable. So today's flowers are offered by Al Cantorna in celebration of his niece Becky's birthday and her son Lincoln. So thank you, Al Cantorna. You're probably out there watching us on Facebook from your couch. We love you and all that you do and bring to us. Next Sunday, or no, not next Sunday, or soon, we'll say, I'm going to offer a new member class. Some people have come to me and said they would want to become a member of Unity on Maui. And so please let me know who you are. If you're in this room or you're out there on Facebook, you can send me an email at blaint2 at gmail.com, and we'll talk about when we can make that happen. And also, let me see, my talk next week is titled Finding Peace with Pain. You know, one of the essential requirements for spiritual growth, unfortunately, is sometimes pain. And so what I'm going to talk about next week is how we can transition through any pain that we might feel, emotional or physical, to help us to get in alignment with the truth of who we are, and to be able to call upon our spiritual resources so that we can be totally present and come from love even in the midst of our pain. So that'll be happening next Sunday right here at Unity on Maui at 10 o'clock. And next Sunday also is our virtual 2021 annual meeting, and we're going to do this on Zoom next Sunday. And it'd be a great opportunity for us to reflect on this last year and to look forward to 2022. So if you'd like to attend this Zoom meeting, you can send me an email and I will send you the link. Again, it's blaint2 at gmail.com. And you can also find the links in our e-blast that goes out every week. And we look forward to seeing you in our annual meeting. We will be live here for service on Sunday, but then we'll go home and eat, and we'll do our meeting at 1 o'clock. All right. So if you enjoy Unity Church of Maui's Sunday services, you can find more of them on YouTube and much more of our music as well. So thank you for being here today. It's a blessing to serve you. And if you're at home, you can remain seated. But if you're here, why don't we stand and let's affirm our prayer for protection together, which begins: the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. God bless you, friends. Mahalo, and see you next time. Where I live, they're all raised